first question is, do you believe there are gender roles in the South Asian community, and do you believe it affects your mental health?
I do believe that there's gender roles in South Asian communities because we've all grown up with knowing that we girls can't do certain things and guys can do certain things, and it's just always been like, if you even like something as simple as going out, it's like my brother can go out like whatever time and I can't, and like he's expected to do different things and I'm expected to do different things just because of my gender. In even like career wise, if you take it, like his role as a man is to provide, and that's gonna always be his role in the eyes of my community and culture. And then for me it's like wife role, like why do you need to work?
Yeah.
So in that sense I feel like our gender does matter in the role of society as well as like at home, from the smallest of things to the biggest of things. Like our gender is a huge thing just because of the colour of our skin.
Yeah, definitely. I also agree, doing a lot of research from actually looking at the internet and stuff. There's a lot of people that's actually having this issue where they actually want to fight back, and a lot of articles of it, of how gender roles actually affect who you're going to become.
Yeah.
It actually is, as a tradition, is actually a blockage, and you know, it gives you a different pathway, but it is definitely an actual problem.
And it does cause a lot of depression, I feel like.
And I feel like it closes you up from the rest of the world, especially in like your own culture. You're more expected to stay at home and help out and do all these things. And I think I usually felt it when I was going through my education, because as I was studying, my mom was still calling me to like help out around the house. And now my brothers are at the same age as I was when I was doing my exams, and somehow they're getting more help and they're not like expected to help out as much. They're expected to stay focused on their studies. Not to say that my family didn't care about my studies, they definitely did, but I think that they also wanted me to learn the like the basics, like cleaning, cooking, and like those stuff first before education.
Did your siblings have, like your brothers, have a different teaching of what's going on, like how you say you have to be taught about cleaning and stuff?
Yeah. Okay, technically in my household, no, because my household is 4 women, including me, then my brothers, and so our dynamic's a little bit different, where we have made my brothers do exactly the same things as I did, and I think that's because I had the privileged role of being the oldest, and so I made my mom treat them the exact same way she treated me.
It's amazing.
Because I was like, if I'm going to be taught this way, you have to do it to them as well. I refuse for you to say that because they're boys, they get let off easier. So in that way, we've changed. But I think my grandma's view is very much, no, women like take care of the house, men provide. And you do see that sometimes.
Yeah, it is a massive tradition of that actually happening in a lot of South Asian countries. So my next question is, so in many South Asian countries, there are a lot of belief that actually speaking about mental health is a taboo. I've watched this documentary from Vice, and actually in India, because of the lack of education and the lack of doctors, they actually put the people that actually have mental health in a cage, a literal cage. Currently. The reason for that is they believe that they have evil spirits in them, and is quite messed up because they are actually forced and they don't have a say if they actually want this treatment, and they believe the actual treatment, the process they're going to go through. Do you believe that your parents actually, what's your views of mental health with your parents? Sorry.
What are our parents' views of mental health?
Yeah, what are your parents' views?
It's very different to what you'd expect from from South Asian communities. I think my household, I think in every generation, like the generation above me suffered with a lot of mental health issues, and so when my generation came through, I think we fought back and we spoke about it, and we spoke that we needed help, and because they had already been through that process. So like my mum and my aunt had both been to therapy before me. And so when I grew up and I was going through issues, the first thing they did is talk to me. I think my mum in the beginning was kind of not so into the idea of me getting therapy because she's like, no, you don't need that. That's not like something we believe in, even though she had been through it. And then as I grew up, she realised that no, this is actually the best thing for you. And so now my relationship with my mum and my aunt with my mental health is quite open. And so if I'm ever struggling or if I'm feeling anxious, I call them up and I say, this is how I'm feeling. What do I do? In fact, like a couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with my mum about how I want to go on antidepressants. And she was like, okay, do you want me to book the appointment? Which made me cry because I didn't think I'd ever expect that reaction from her. But it's a lot more open than most South Asian communities.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank you.
I think for me, my parents, surprisingly actually, because they both grew up here, they were both born here as well. So you would think that they're kind of more forwarded, like open-minded. But as far as I've seen, like my dad wants us to kind of open up to him and stuff. But when you do, it's always like, when I was your age, I had bigger problems. So it's always a comparison of my issues with his. So it would never be like a conversation about how I'm feeling or what my emotions are and if they're justified. With my mum, it would be a bit like, you can't really open up to your parents without feeling judgment, because they would, in my family, I feel like they always compare their issues to mine when they were my age, and then they'd always with therapy and stuff, I think a time came in my life where someone passed away that was close to us, and then I needed to get it out and talk to someone, but then they were like, no, it's a part of life and you have to learn how to deal with it without that kind of support, because in the future, are you just going to keep going to counselling every time something bad happens?
Yeah.
So maybe not as open to help and actually they don't really recognise the fact that it could be an issue. But recently I feel like they do kind of be like, oh, you can talk to us kind of thing, and we're here for you. But when it actually comes to doing the help part, they don't really think that, oh, depression is a thing and you can be stressed. They actually, my religious beliefs comes in when that happens. Just pray. You're depressed, just pray.
Yeah, just pray.
Just pray.
It's funny what you said about it happened to me, so you have to deal with it too. That's a phrase that's actually been said. Every article I read, that's a phrase that actually repeats. If a woman's getting abused by the husband, and God tells her mom, she says, you have to deal with it because it happened to me. That's just part of life. So clearly it's been normalized,
Yeah.
It's a normal thing.
Suffering's been normalised.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think in marital abuse,
Yeah.
especially, it's you can't just get a divorce just because he's hit you. You got to work it out. You have to sort it through. And
to figure it out together.
yeah.
And if you have kids, then it's what about the kids?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a taboo to get divorced. That leads me to my next question, because of obviously it's hard to talk about mental health in the South Asian community because there are some sort of associations of being taboo. Do you believe that grows into you having two different identities or clashes between
Yeah,
being
definitely,
in the Western world?
definitely.
Yeah.
Especially because I think I've been brought up in two countries together, so it's you're expected to do different things in that part of the world and then this part of the world. Here you can be more open with people about your emotions and how you're feeling, and over there it's who are you to feel that? Yeah, why are you? What is that?
In the aspects of that, do you feel it affects you you become depressed, or you feel there's a blockage of who you want to be?
Definitely. I think sometimes it feels like I can't talk to my mum about everything that happens in my life because she'll judge it. And there's not something I can say exactly, but I feel like sometimes when I'm oh, I'm not feeling the greatest, I can't exactly say it's this reason, because it'll either be oh, I told you so,
Yeah.
or I've moved to London now, and so I was on call with my mum recently and I was I just feel really lonely, and she went, do you want to come home? And I'm that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to work through it. And she's no, do you want to come home? Do you want to just live here? And I'm you're trying to take away my freedom from doing that. She doesn't realise that by doing that I will be more upset and depressed.
The freedom will be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
You want a solution. You want
Yeah.
that makes sense. So, other than that, with your mental health, where would you find the most support?
Where do we find the most support now?
Yeah, when you're growing up, if you're going through a situation, who would you talk to?
I think when I was younger, I'd say until I was 14, I didn't really have anyone to talk to. And that was because of my family, because anything that happened in the house, I don't know if anyone else has felt this, but we were always told, don't talk to anyone about it. This is like a family matter. You don't talk to anyone
don't
about
take it out
it.
the family.
Yeah. So I had no one to really talk to, and then I was admitted into CAMS when I was 14, and then after that they realised, oh God, maybe we should like allow her to like talk about things. And so from then I started to open up to my aunt and my mum. And then I started talking more, and I'd say nowadays my biggest support is my cousin, who's the one that's doing psychology. She's someone that broke down all the barriers when it came to like mental health in our family. And so anytime I'm struggling, I talk to her, and we have like a long conversation, and we talk through it rationally and then emotionally as well.
Is your cousin around the same age as you?
She's 24. So yeah.
Was she grew up here?
Yeah, we were both brought up here.
I think for me, my teenage, like up until my teenage years, I would like talk to my aunts and my mum. But the thing about brown families is that you tell one person, the whole family knows by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because they're all like, oh my God, do you know what happened with her? Do you know what's happened with her? And it's like a gossip. So when it comes back to you and you're like, who can I actually talk to? So that kind of, I think, broke and like kind of made me have trust issues, because my own family kind of spread my shit around the family. So it was like, who do you actually go to if not your family? And I realized something, that it's not like the blood that makes you family. It's the kind of people you're with. Like you can find a connection with someone who you've never known, and they would actually like protect you. Genuinely. So I find it that I can't talk to anyone but my friends in my but not in my family. I don't think anyone I would talk to.
Yeah, I think friends become a really big support system.
Like boyfriend, friends.
Yeah.
I agree. As a man, I didn't really have support on mental health. I had a lack of education. I see my father, I never seen him speak about mental health at all. But yeah, I think it does affect us a lot of who can support you throughout life. I think it does affect your education, and it does affect your quality of life as well. Yeah, that would have led to my question: can family be judgmental of who you are?
Very much so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are my last questions. So as a younger generation, how would you believe that we as a group, as a community, can help people with these mental health issues? How can we support them? Where can we start from? Is there age?
I think you just open up the conversation, and I think the best way that we could do it is to talk to the younger generation in our own families and tell them that they have us to talk to, and that they can come to us if they have issues. I've done that with my own brothers, and so one of my brothers has been struggling really badly, and even though I've moved, like before I moved away, he cried because he's like, I'm gonna miss being able to just talk to you like around the house. I'm like, I'm a phone call away. It's okay. But yeah, I think the best solution would be to open the conversation with younger people and make it so that it's not taboo anymore for them to talk, boy or girl.
Which is really cool, because that's exactly the same with me. My brothers and sisters, they don't talk to my parents at all, and every time they're like, do you know what dad did, and this is how I feel, they would never actually go and tell my mum and dad. Always come to me and just call me and just be like, this is what's happened, I need help. Which I feel like that's what we can do, because we've suffered. I think as an eldest child, I've like suffered the most. Are you an eldest child as well? Yep, we've suffered the most. Yeah, especially being girls in our family.
Daughters.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it's a difference.
So I didn't want my sister going through anything that I've been through, which is why we kind of made it okay to them that it's okay to feel this way, and it's okay to talk to us about it. And I feel like that's how they're going to pass it on through generational change. I don't think there's any other way to do it.
I don't think we could definitely change like the older generation's views, but
it's deep rooted.
It's deep rooted. It's like, it's not just them, it's the ones above them and then the ones above them. So it's just generation trauma, and we're breaking it. That's all it is. You have to break generational trauma.
100%. Yeah, that's it really.
Should I?
Yeah.